time trading?
I was kind of
Anyone?
sitting out a little bit because I'm still sick, so I don't like trading sick.
No, I get you, man. That's kind of how I felt the first week I came back from Europe. It was same feeling.
Yeah,
Anyone
just feel
else
kind
took
of
any
off.
trades? Tom, what did you do today?
Talk to me, Shorty.
Yeah, I said, what? How did you do today?
I did okay. Was up 400 in one account and like 1200 in another. But very difficult though.
Difficult?
I thought so because I was wrong in the beginning.
Okay, so you didn't kind of change the sentiment at all?
I did, but midway through it, not. So I had a loss, and then when I flipped, I recovered.
All right. Did anyone kind of check the day, see what you guys could have done differently? Because I thought it was fairly easy day. I was actually trading from a phone. I did pretty good. What was the level that we wanted them to crack to to go higher?
55.30, right?
Yep. So we had this range. I left this range. I didn't really touch it. This was the range that we had drawn. I believe it was Sunday night. This was the poor high that they failed to clean up. And then this was the key. This was the key for you guys. So if you're to hide a bunch of crap here, the initial balance for a moment. If you look here, if this is our 4-day balance, right, right here, or 5 days now, how many times did we look for new buyers above this value?
Every day.
So when you have when something's going above value and it gets shut down every time, what is it telling you? Who's participating there?
The big boys.
Type of it's responsive activity, right? The only way to negate that is to crack this zone. All right, we want them to crack this zone. We said, go here. Sorry, I drew wrong thing. Go up here and come back. Then we would look for long and target something like this. But they needed to crack this, right? And as soon as they peaked above, even the prior day high, I think this was here, they peaked above it and failed miserably. I was able to short it kind of, I think it was 92-ish or something like that. I forgot the levels. As soon as I saw that they're not able to hold, remember this cluster, how I said this was fairly important for them to hold? You guys recall these levels? It was in your Shorty's corner when I mentioned that this was going to be a pretty choppy area. You want to avoid it as much as you can. You guys read that notes?
Yeah, I held through.
So if you're able to crack through this zone, you had nothing to worry about on potential downside. And then you had a level, which was your 4-day value area low, was sitting at 81. And then they went below. And I think when I looked at the screen and I added some SPX puts, they came back for initial balance retest. And they gave you a pretty good one here. If you go on smaller time frames, let's say like 3 minutes, look at this retest that they gave you here. I was in the middle of the open house for my son, so I was going to scream short the crap out of this because they're coming back into the zone from the bottom, and it happens to be the IBL. And then which period is the one that caused this break? Did you guys check? On the class, what did I tell you about the C period? Usually, what do you want to do with it? The market profile class, I said if the C period is breaking, higher or lower,
You follow it.
Called a range extension, and those typically work out in your favor. And even if you took this short, let's say, and you put the stop loss to be here, most of you can handle 4 points and maybe give it a little bit more, maybe 6 points. But your potential was huge. I took that short, and did you guys notice? Let me see where my trade was actually. Did anyone, like, I'm not trying to, say like, oh my God, you did great. But did you guys notice where I closed it? It was 48.25. It was here. Why do you guys think was this like an accident level that I was looking at?
IBL3X.
IBL3X. I mean, if you're gonna have a trend day, you're gonna, what did I say? If you break the C period, high odds you're having a trend day. And what is the definition of a trend day? Guys, don't make me bring up
2 times IB.
Yeah.
above 2 times and typically leads to 3x. So I said, if you're gonna get me out and I'm gonna short this sucker here, you're going all the way down. 92 to 48 on 2 contracts and literally didn't even pay attention to it.
What did those contracts go, Shorty?
What do you mean?
Like, what did you get in at? You took SPX, right?
No, this was 92.75. SPX only made like 250. Okay. I didn't make much out. In the schools, it seems like there's no internet for some reason. So I would literally be in there and I'm like, I'd tell my wife I'm going to the bathroom for a moment. And I would just.
Oh my.
No, there's, I guess the walls or something. I don't know if they cut off internet at the schools, but I was not able to get like clean. So I would go in and out a little bit. But this was your signal. I mean, when you think about it, we even talked about, that you're in a range, we are above the first sig here and you peaked above it, man. It was a pretty big signal. You're going to fail. And even Sunday, when there was 3-day value area high here, you guys remember what we talked about? You peak above that zone and you crack inside. And what do you target?
POC the Naval.
Yeah, POC, then Naval. POC cracked with force. Came back, retest from the bottom. If something's retesting from the bottom, that's pretty good short. And then it came back all the way, and then you see what they're kind of doing magical here. So I had these levels, I posted them. We came back to swing low, and it seems like there were some big boy earnings after hours, and then they spiked. So now, we're, are we out of this balance? Not yet, guys. We're still here. We're actually 50% of that balance recovered. So if you take your fibs, let's take this guy right here. Look where we are. We recovered about 50% after hours, I guess, till now. That's a pretty big pump. So for tomorrow, how would you play this? And I believe this is tomorrow FMOC.
Yeah, Powell speaks.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great.
And there's data, a lot of data tomorrow too.
What data?
I'll check.
All right, seems like this is our actually first sig here for here. It's our first sig. So below that, we're gonna hit that June value area low anyway. So okay, let's zoom in on the daily, and then we'll fix it.
There's ADP tomorrow. There's home sales. Chicago PMI.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of news Thursday as well. Jobless, PMI final, ISM index, construction.
It's a shitload, yeah.
Yeah.
Just trying to clean up the slides, and then we'll put a plan for tomorrow. So obviously today's. I'm just trying to zoom in a little bit.
Are you still I know you typically don't trade on days where there's a binary event, but I've noticed like sometimes if you really like the setup, you will early.
Well, in the morning if I see it, but if I don't see it, I'd rather sit out. So I guess we'll have to see what they bring to the table. I just want to see if there's any weird spikes.
I feel like we're finally back in our groove with the balances, and yeah, I mean they're definitely going to do something right in these next 2 days, but
Well,
I'm just happy we're away from all-time highs and we actually have stuff to do.
Yeah, we're back in balance, but it doesn't mean is it bullish?
I don't think so.
So think about what happened and where we're coming from, right? So let me kind of zoom out. So you're going, from, I think this is over 5% at this point. So right at 5%. You pull back. Remember when I said there should be a pullback about 5 to 10% coming when we were at the highs at one point? So they gave you 5% pullback. So now what you're looking for, are they going to accept prices at the lower levels? So obviously we had value that was built here. When you think about value, this is where two-sided activity took place, where people were happy trading, and then this is where they're no longer happy and they believe the price should be higher. Then they, trended higher, they accumulated for a little bit, and then they sold off quickly. So now what do they believe? Well, they believe that value is here, right? Until they crack this one, there's a little bit of a guy right here, but you see where majority of the volume is. The next balance in the retest would be somewhere around here, 53, 86, and then June value area low. So if they were to lose 54, they have quite a bit to go. And then if you just grab the bottom to the top, let's say here, you'll know where the run-up POs 5301 seems doable. That this is our range of the run-up, and this was the value, and that, not that it really matters, but you would see where the high volume nodes are. We know where the gaps are, but now you'll be able to see where these high volume nodes are as well. So you know where you can expect to slow down, just like we expected a slowdown when they came in here a little bit. We expected a slowdown here. All the HVNs are going to bring in the two-sided activity, and that's exactly what they're doing. Now, if they can't agree on this little box, it looks like a bunch of shit here. If they can't agree on this, then they're going to seek most likely higher. And I don't think there will be any traps at the moment. We put in two equal lows right now. If they're not agreeing on this is going to be a volatile move on explosion, right? I would say we want to play the direction of that. So let me go here. What is the level you guys want to be above to take it tomorrow?
The 4-day val.
Okay.
Oh, we might be over it already. I don't know where we are, ETH.
Let's see. That'll be somewhere around here. So this would be, oh, that's a big old profile, man. That's a really massive sell-off. So if they're to, just look at this. If you want them to switch completely bullish bearish, what would be the level?
C period single prints.
Well, I would say you really want them to, if they can reclaim this 93, that would be solid, right? But ultimately, if they're above the 73 and they can hold that 4-day value area low, I think that's a really good sign for the bulls that they can find value and continue the bracket trading. And if we're in the bracket, what is the rule of brackets? How do you trade bracketed markets?
Buy the bottom, sell the top.
Buy the bottom, sell the top. And that's, I would say that's what you could have done here quite a bit, right? Short it, buy the bottom. And I mean, it's obviously paying, guys. I mean, it's covering a lot of points.
There was excess low right above the 4-day val as well that gave like a really big draw to it.
This right here?
I believe so.
Yeah, 54.71.
Yeah, so it was like just added confluence for the 80% to play out, I felt like.
Yeah, so for me personally, if we can go above 73, I would say there's a high chance you're going to 80. If we're able to crack above this 80, especially when you have liquidating shapes like you have here, it's an elongated B profile, right? Lowercase b. Why would the value area high be very important here?
It would be rejecting the lower distribution.
It would be rejecting the lower distribution, and then most likely what would come out of this? Do you guys know what comes out of lowercase b's the next day? If they're able to crack this, what do you think happens to the shorts?
Cover.
The emotional shorts now have to join the buying party. And then basically, if we're able to crack this, don't be surprised if you see something like this, and maybe even you see this. But they have to crack above this level to hit this right here. So if they crack this level, obviously, that speeds up. I mean, you're talking about 70 points to the upside here. So for me, I would watch between 73 and 80 and see how they behave. 73 will be a really, really good sentiment tomorrow morning if we open. And I don't know what time the news are being released, but I was probably, if I was majority of you, I would play MES tomorrow. Size down as much as you can. You don't have to trade tomorrow, guys. You can treat yourself as a business, and tomorrow is a holiday. If there's so much volatility in news, this is where people, there's no setups, and sometimes they're not real setups because the binary events ruin them. So I would say if you have something else to do, tomorrow might be a good day to do something else. I would definitely watch this above this low zone. I think they can accelerate about 21 points, and this would be a solid trade here. You catch 20 points and call it a day, and then you see if they continue higher, go there, and most likely would hit here. But as of right now, let me just go check. Okay, well, they're right above that 80 level. So yeah, I was shorted below 73 here. Or whatever
What?
this level is. Keeps switching on me on 30 minutes. 54.71. I'm sorry, I was short below that. But let's see what they do. Right now, they seem to have reclaimed all the key levels to continue higher.
Did you do anything overnight, Shorty?
If I would probably leave a stop sell right below here, probably something 54.69.75. I would leave a stop sell order.
Okay.
Yep, I would do that. But I hate binary. If you know me, I hate binary events and trading them.
Yeah.
1 second you can make 100K, and then next second I can lose $200,000 on a trade because the volatility and spikes and liquidity in the trades become shit. So not the best, but tomorrow's fairly important. You guys know why? Besides the news. All right, let me refresh your memory.
The month end.
Yeah, tomorrow's the month end. So when you guys go on the monthly chart, how's this looking? Bullish, bearish, how are we looking?
Bearish.
Pretty crappy.
Dangerous.
It's a pretty dangerous spot, right? So you want to pay attention to this mid back. Does everybody know what that is? I would say this level is important for you guys to have. You know about this June value area low. I think it's what was 67 and a quarter or something like that, maybe 69.25. Big levels coming up, but when the auction is healthy, it should not be overlapping. Now you have clear shift, and then you have an overlap. Now the second test, right, that you want to make sure that you're aware of, how's the value width right here. And I would say it's probably approximately the same as the prior month if you're to measure it, right? So you're talking about 184 points, then you're talking about 212. So a little bit tighter here versus here, but not big, right? Not something that you can call out. What about volume for the months?
It's starting to pick back up.
Okay, so now so do you guys remember what are the three components of directional performance of auction?
Time, price.
No, those are components, but how do you measure directional performance?
With
All right, so let's answer value area placement. What is it? When I say significantly, would you guys agree? Take a look at your value, the highest and about the average here. I would say the average is probably somewhere here for month of June. What do you see the next month?
Nearly doubled.
So the volume is nearly doubled, but we're not going higher. So how's that directional performance? The market was trying to go higher, volume picked up, and we auctioned lower and the value area overlapped lower. So is it a bullish month?
No, not at all.
Not at all, man. And when you think about the open and the close, where do we open? We open here, and tomorrow you would be closing at the low of the month. So if that's the case, I'm not sure if there's a lot of bullishness that you guys should be looking for in a higher time frame. Then you have the mid back, right? And then you have this level. But how's this for single prints here? Is this good?
No.
No, it's a poor low.
There's a lot of unfinished business here, right? So they're most likely going to visit that.
Would that be a developing poor low, technically?
Tomorrow.
I mean, not that it matters, but
Yeah, tomorrow if they don't fix it, it'll be definitely poor low on the monthly. And then you have June, I believe it had a proper close. Yeah. I know one of the months had a poor low. I don't know which one. There it goes. April.
are you not marking? Would you not mark out any excess from the month?
Oh, I would. Yeah, I'd like to keep one chart. Like I was just adding a few lines. I'd keep one chart.
Yeah.
Just clean. But does everybody understand what I was explaining here in the yellow box? And you can do this on a daily. You can do this on a weekly. You can do it on every time frame.
Is this Wyckoff?
No,
Like-
this is pure market profile.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
Yep. Yep. So you're talking about value area placement. We're overlapping. Overlapping right in the middle of the uptrend. Approximately the same. So there's not a lot of bullishness, but this is a big concern. If there's a lot of buyers in an uptrend, we shouldn't pick up volume and go down. So I will definitely keep this in check here. I'll check on the weekly just to make sure that there's a VPOC here. Maybe a VPOC at 26. Yep. Be a decent bounce there.
It'd sweep the poor low too.
Oh, that'd be. I could see a trap playing there. Right? So if you have something like this, if they crack that, I mean, this becomes a decent trap. I didn't know there was a VPOC actually.
You'd get all the momentum buyers too buying that breakout down.
Yep. Let's watch this tomorrow and see how they play. But it's just, I'm telling you guys, do not force trades tomorrow on the news events. You're not going to build a good habit for your trading career if you do that. But as always, do what's best for you. All right, guys. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll hop in to see the news, and we'll see if we trade anything or if they stay flat. I think Powell's is at 2 o'clock, 2:30.
Yeah, two statements and then questions.
So let's see. I mean, I'll hop on, but I would expect a lot of slow movements unless the binary events in the morning dictate differently. But let's see what happens. As of right now, they're not printing a lot of bullishness, but from that B shape that we had, I honestly would not be shocked especially if we open and hold that level of 80, that we we end up running to the upside. It'd be a nice little short cover rally. But that's a beautiful profile. And you guys see here, so far you're building a double distribution for the 2 days that we're in. And look where 80 is. Man, it just looks very juicy.
I hate that there's so much news because we finally have like a good balance.
Yeah. So this is my profile now. I'm merging the 2 days with the prior 4 days, and now you'll see how this looks. I'll merge it here, and you guys will be able to see it here. And you see the 73 that we talked about. And here's your value. So if they can get back in, and let's say they crack the mid of developing here, comes a pretty good 20, 40 points. Of course, I would not ignore this right here. But 81 to 503, I think you guys can make a living. All right, guys. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And if anyone's in Pfizer, really fucking good day today. I don't know if anyone's loaded on it, but I am pretty excited about this, guys.
I don't think anyone's as loaded as you in it.
I have quite a bit of shares. This is what we're watching for on Pfizer right now, next level, and then ultimately we're looking to go a little bit higher. So it's
Right,
good when
Pfizer.
you're at the bottom. Yeah, Pfizer is doing great. And MM did not lose their gains. I don't know if you guys saw that. They kept all their gains. So this can go to 160 now, guys. Look at the volume on this candle. I mean, check the volume here. It's pretty big. So
Shorty, could I ask a quick question on using Delta for some confirmation stuff?
sure, man.
So I was gonna see. Okay, we've been in like a 5-day range, right on ES, and today we went from the top of the range all the way to the bottom.
Yep.
And so, if I go on Quantower and set it up daily, and I can do basically like a fixed range volume profile, but do it for Delta on all 5 days. But I could also do it on just today, it going from the top to the bottom, because that was the most recent one, just like you sometimes do when you have a move on volume profile.
Yep. So you could do something like this. Okay. There you go.
And so I would say I'd ask if it was you and you had the option to use the 5-day and look at where the red delta was and the green delta was versus the sell off today, looking at the red and green delta, which one would you trust more as your kind of confirmation for where to enter and exit buyers and sellers?
Well, if it's an intraday trade, you could definitely use today's delta. I always, like I mentioned on the left, I keep a cumulative, meaning I see the full range chart that I'm looking at to see where are the major levels of liquidity and where the big buyers were. On the right side, I typically keep 1 day just so I can see for that action, where did the traders come in. So if I look, for instance, here, see, it's always get fucked up in these colors. I just flipped it. So let me explain that. Okay, so for instance, today, let's go on 30 minutes. So here's your today profile, right? Here. So there was a lot of buying here, but as buying went up, just pay attention to Delta. This is showing you what happened today. As buying went up, what happened to those aggressive orders on Delta?
They got less and less.
They got less and less. Now let's talk about the auction, the theory of auction, and we just did it on market profile. If I auction $1,000 bill right now, once we get to about 990, do you expect a lot more people to bid?
You talking about down?
No, just to.
No.
If I auction a $20 bill right now.
Oh, okay.
Let's auction it. Let's test the theory. I'm offering you guys $20 bill. You guys give me the offers.
10 cents.
I'll give you $2.
I'd go $15.
16.
$16.50.
Okay, I'll
Going
be a
once.
degenerate. $25.
What?
25.
I got that
So the
signature on
point-
there, right?
So the point is, as you approach the value where it's not perceived as good value, you're going to have less and less participation and less aggressive buyers. Just as we bring up, a hot commodity, iPhones, and let's say, I don't know, what's another item, I don't buy shit. Let's say iPhones, right? If they say iPhone 16 that has the AI enabled is going to be $200, what do you think will happen to Apple's inventory? They would be depleted probably, and they would crash their website within 10 minutes. Right? Because there's people that are just obsessed and they believe that's a hell of a deal and fair value. But if I tell you that iPhone 16, and let's say it is $2,500, how many of you guys are going to buy it?
Not me.
A lot of people probably would not buy it, right? It almost becomes an exclusive item, right? Where only a handful percentages of the demographic can afford that. And it's the same thing that you're seeing here, right? As you're auctioning here, for instance, in 30 minutes, and I think if you go in 5, it might be visible. We just have to go back. I have to delete this guy. I think this is the problem child here. Okay. What on this candle, for instance, is telling you, hey, there's a little bit of an issue here.
On which candle?
This one right here. What do you guys see? Let's say between these three, I want you to check volume. I want you to check delta, and I want you to check the distribution of volume.
Ate all the negative delta up, and there's a sell side imbalance.
9:30, we pop out with volume, massive buying. We follow with another, cut in volume, 15,000 contracts. Then you have a little bit more contracts, but there's no buying. But you do have an decently increased bid side and aggressive sellers that are coming here. And if you guys were aware, this was a pretty big supply that we talked about last time. I said there was, if you scroll up here, there was a lot of contracts for sale here. It's about 15, maybe 13, 14,000 contracts in this range. So they came back here, and then you see how aggressive they were to get rid of it. So the delta change here between this one and this one is about 1,000 between these two. Does that make sense? Does
Yes.
DC, that means delta change. So 1,000 more contracts went not at the ask. They were not buying at the ask, because if it was at the ask, it would be a plus. And then all of the volume is concentrated, and then you cut that POC and look at the delta here. They started selling, and then remember the volume from this morning? We said 38,000 with 3,000 delta. Well, here comes this one, 37,000 contracts with 1,900 delta. And then basically they never really came. If you look here, pay attention to like this right here. They really never came back to breach any of it, right? And then they came back and added more right here. And then just scroll to the right and see how do we respond to these levels. Like where they added to the short positions. They added and they really didn't do much. They just kept selling. They sold, and then this guy here came in and, he added a little bit more aggression coming back. And then you see that there's some absorption happening here. You're going 30,000 contracts and you see massive inflation on the bottom here. So somebody's absorbing. They had a decent pop here, right? You're talking about 93, so 10 points. And then when you crack this low, you're just following. And look at the aggression that's coming here. I guess, what is it, 11 o'clock? I mean, look, whenever you read this diagonally. 1400 to 349, 16 to 513, 22 to 315. Somebody's like, I'm just going to start buying, and that didn't work out. And then massive sell-offs, right? And each one of these is incomplete auction on the bottom. Every one of them is incomplete. And then you had a massive, complete auction and a very, very large bid here, guys. This is pretty massive here, right? Ask is inflated. So, and then what do you see? When they needed to sell off, look where they accumulated the volume on this candle. A lot of volume here, and look where this volume came down. All the selling pressure was here. So they continued selling off, and then if you put the low of this candle, here, look, how much time did they spend about this guy? Did he allow them to reclaim it? Never did. And then, of course, after hours, whatever, or 155 they popped, and you can continue following the same trend and see what is happening. And here's your last fight that they had right here. Well, let's see. What is this, 61? And then look, oh my God, look at this. I mean, this is somebody's just saying, get rid of it. I want to get out.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to close it. And then look at this. I mean, this is pretty massive here. I would probably mark these levels right here. This is fucking huge. This little area is huge here.
So looking at the delta on both sides, though, the 81 is an interesting level because once you get over that on the left side, as you go up, you've got a lot of green delta. But on the right side, so it would make you think you'd want to long because you pass through. But on the right side, you've just got a bunch of sellers waiting right there. And so it's kind of like opposing data. If you look at
it is. And what they would do here, believe it or not, they would literally just ping pong in between here. And they would play these little shelves like that.
right.
First move going to the top, and then they consolidate, they compress, and then they clean up the liquidity, right? Wherever there's a lot of volume and time spent, that means it's a two-sided activity happening, and they're happy to get rid of it there. And if remember do you know how the dealers work? The locals?
Mm-mm.
So let's say you're a dealer. You're not actually in there to make profit. You're in there to make money off of transactions. So I'm a dealer, and you want to get rid of the shares here. I, as a local, have to do what? You guys know this. I have to buy it. That's my job. It's the liquidity. I have to buy it at this level. But let's say you sell 1,000 contracts, and I have to sell it. You're selling, and I have to buy it. And another 1,000 people do the same here. What if the local is imbalanced? Because the locals have to be neutral on their positions. If he is buying here, what is he doing with the derivative market?
Selling.
He's shorting, right? So if he's over leveraged, and let's say at one point there's so much selling, and let's say this is his threshold, like below 502, he has to become a net seller. Because up until here, he's looking for buyers to get rid of it to somebody else. If he bought it here, he's going to say, can I sell it to Michael at 517? To this guy? I mean, and you're talking quantity, guys. It happens so fast. High frequency traders, they literally execute so many trades. And even if they grab 50 cents on a contract, in terms of a day, they're good. So now if he becomes too long as a local, and the market starts dropping and he can't buy enough, because at some point he has too much long, not enough hedge, what does he have to do on his portfolio?
Short.
He has to start selling and take the losses from here to here. So he's going to start selling, and as he's selling this, what is he doing with the short positions? If he's selling his long, what does he have to do with the short?
Add.
No, stay neutral.
Oh,
You're done.
okay.
You close it.
And does that just compress it and then you get a big move after?
Yeah, exactly. So now he's becoming a net seller, and I mean he's gonna probably start closing some shorts to find the delta neutral spot. And once he does that, he's unwinding his positions, and that usually leads to massive moves. So at one point, it's the CTAs, right? The dealers that are coming in, and they're dictating the liquidity and how, if their inventory net long or short, and if their hedges are not proper, sometimes they have to start selling or buying, depending where we are. But that's pretty much how the market functions. It's really not me and you. It's their move, and we are playing the reactions to it. But there's a high chance we're gonna, if they can hold this, I would say, 80 right here. You see that this is a big volume node here. I just grabbed 5 days. There. I mean, I grabbed that range that we were in, and you see there's a lots of buying here. There's some selling here, but there's a lot more buying, and high chance that there's a lot of trapped here. Look at this.
Shorts.
A lot of trapped shorts, right? They started selling less, and then massive buying came in and a pop. So now, let's say they clear 86. Don't be shocked to see 517 overnight. There is some selling here, but when you look at the bigger picture here, look at the selling with the plus and minuses. Compared to
it's sandwiched in by a bunch of buyers.
yeah. So there's a lot of dip buyers, right? And if these dip buyers here, let's say that these buyers, remember what I said, if we put in a new low and you had all these dip buyers here, what happens to the acceleration down?
They get liquidated and it dumps.
They have a really strong chance to get screwed, because then they're going to have to start covering and closing. And then you just get a speed up. So,
Shorty, how did you grab the 5 days?
if you grab this little thing here, right, it's called custom profile.
Oh.
Yeah. So let me remove this. There's a thing, I don't know how it works. I think you click here. No, here.
I do the custom profile and drag.
Yeah, if you do here and then you scroll down.
Oh, I see it.
Oh, right here. And you click the favorites button, then it becomes like right here. And I click, if I'm zooming in, let's say I want to see this. You can click on here. I can make this volume if I wanted to, right? And you can change the tick size. If I wanted to 1, it would look a little bit better here.
I remember you saying that you check the 30-minute footprints just for like imbalances and data like this.
Always.
How? Yeah, that was my question. How often do you check this?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Are you checking this like during the session, before the session, after the session?
At all times.
At all times. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Here's your NQ. NQ is a little bit more known for imbalances. The other night, I don't know who was on, I shorted NQ based off an imbalance for like 30 something points. And it was pretty much set up like this. So now look at this imbalance right here, sitting at 1901. It's, it's an after hours imbalance. Whoever would like to take a bet that we're going to be here before 1:30 a.m., we're going to come here, and this becomes a pretty good overnight buy. Right.
Is this partially how, obviously with the market profile analysis, but is this partially how you're finding your overnight trades?
Yeah, I use all
Wow.
of it, right? I use volume, market, I use this. It's a combo of, the trading is more about confluence than anything else that you're ever going to do. And if I do these imbalances, I'm telling you guys, work like fucking magic.
They're really, really good on NQ. Like they always clean them up.
Wow, on 5 minutes,
Always.
or 10 points, I would say, probably with eyes closed on some of these. So here's a bearish one that was here, and here's here's that big one here. I don't like when there's too many in a row, just because they can look for that next buyer and the next buyer, but there's a lot here since 6 o'clock. Seems like, well, probably earnings. let's see, like this one here, I would like better than the other ones. But look at the sell-off here. And there was a lot of zeros at 4 o'clock. So the sell-off was premeditated here. You see, but you know what that means when there's a bunch of zeros, I guess.
They just
They want the price lower, but they don't want to lose a bunch of inventory.
Yeah, it's called cleaning the order book, right? So remember how you have the order book, right? The ask and a bid. So if you want the price to go lower, right, you have to absorb what? All the limit buyers that are sitting below. So the only way to do that is to start selling higher than what's at the next line on L2, and that's how they clean up the book. That means order book swept, and they swept it, and there was no order sitting until about this 88. Then they started a little bit more volume. People started participating. They swept it again down. And you just keep going, and you'll see. And then, oh, and then there were some idiots right here. You guys know what this means?
Those are
But would
sells,
you
right?
look at?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah, trap sellers. But like, that's not a lot of orders.
Oh, this is nothing.
Yeah, so like, obviously it's trap sellers. Like, but I mean, are you? It's
No,
just
but
not a
I'll
lot
look
of
at
orders, or are you
probably
really
a little
looking?
bit, maybe a different time frame just to see what's actually happening, right? So if you look here, that's nothing. Right?
Yeah, like you're not. That's not very like. Look at all that volume. That's not a significant amount of trap sellers.
That's not.
Okay.
Yeah, but this one is pretty good. And you know, this one is good because there's two reasons here on 15 minutes. Both came in with a completed auction. And you see that they had a sell-off from here. They went down, right? They came back and then they went higher, right? So now they're gonna offer you some really decent bounces overnight. If there's any PJ traders, they're gonna give it to you. They're gonna give you a lot of decent setups, and I just can't stay awake. But if I was to stay awake, I would watch for these right here. I'd look to scalp this for about 20 points. This is gonna play out when it goes here. It's gonna hit probably somewhere around here. And then if they crack, this one's pretty good too. If they crack this one, I don't know if I would necessarily. Well, this one's good because it has a lot of volume here. So if you look at this, so here, you're able to see kind of which one is carrying some delta as well.
Would you look at that? Sorry, the two long red candles on the delta that you're looking at. With the buy imbalance, would you look at them as well as we have that the liquidity to grab? They would want to defend losing that as well. Like,
so they would most likely do this and then run it.
Okay.
Because if these sellers are there, right, people will bite in if we dip below. Once they dip below, you watch for a reclaim, and you could run it at 40 points. But that's how, and I do look at imbalances. The other night, I think I don't know. Let me see if I can find. I'm really bad at finding like what I type. Okay, here. Okay, let me see if I can post. There. So I said, by the way, NQ coming up to imbalance. It's worth shorting. And this was the imbalance I was watching. And this was somewhere, I don't know how to find it, but I posted, I don't know where it is right now, but it basically dumped from here quite a bit. Let me see, I think some, oh, there it goes. So it came there and then it dumped, I don't know, like 50 points, 122 to 70. So those play really, really good, man. After hours, thank you. They work out pretty well. So here comes the pump. And I would expect them to trap some people right here on the long side. And potentially it would be a quick dip, maybe start working towards this. You see that there's a little bit of an ask being inflated here, but if the price is not going higher, what does an inflated ask mean?
Limit sellers.
Be some limit sellers waiting there to get rid of their inventory, right? So if they can't clear this 81, then they're gonna get stuck here at 65. And then you're looking for, what is it here? It's not bad. I mean, it's pretty good. Okay. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you guys picked up something new, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Shorty.
Thank you.